Bonjour à tous!
Bonjour à tous, on est très heureux de vous retrouver avec Thomas pour une nouvelle interview sur Musical Avenue. Alors l'artiste que l'on reçoit aujourd'hui a été notre américaine à Paris au théâtre Marigny pendant 5 mois. 5 mois pendant lesquels elle a marché sur les traces d'une immense Barbara Streisand en interprétant le rôle d'une certaine funny girl.
C'est aussi une imitatrice hors pair des divas de la pop aux divas de la comédie musicale. Elle emprunte avec talent et beaucoup d'humour leur gestuelle particulière et leur subtilité vocale.
Outre-Atlantique, on la surnomme The Girl of Thousand Voice, la fille aux 1000 voix. Alors vous l'aurez peut-être compris, on est très fiers et très honorés d'avoir avec nous en direct, en live de New York, the one and only Christina Bianco.
Tout au long de cette interview, nous vous ferons découvrir ce qui se cache derrière cette drôle de fille à l'énergie débordante, de ses débuts off-Broadway à son premier album, en passant par son expérience parisienne dans Funny Girl, sans oublier ses folles imitations sur YouTube. Nous vous emmenons à la rencontre de cette fabuleuse artiste américaine qui a conquis le cœur des Français. Yay!
Hello, Christina!
Hello, I am hiring you to do all of my publicity. That was gorgeous.
Oh yeah, we love that. We love that.
I love it. Thank you so much. I feel so glamorous and so cool. Thank you. It's
Like
lovely
you
to
are
speak with you.
glamorous.
It's a pleasure. So, yeah, we just seen it. Like, you can do like so many voices. How did you discover that gift?
When I was very, very little, my family always played lots of music, right? And different styles, Broadway, jazz, rock and roll, country music. And so my parents tell me that I would always sing along. And sometimes when I would sing along, I would just take on the tone and the style of whoever was singing. Just change slightly. And my parents said it was very funny because they would hear me like, like try to change my voice to sound like the person. So it was something that I did naturally, but I never thought it was a skill. I never thought it was something I could ever use in my career, as a profession. I just thought it was something fun that most people probably could do. I didn't know. So it wasn't until I got older and I started performing in theater more professionally and doing voiceovers and things like that, that I realized it was an asset to be able to change my voice to sound like a little kid or sound like an old lady, those little things. So I started to realize that there could be something, but it really wasn't until I auditioned for the show in New York, a long-running off-Broadway show that I'm sure you know about now, Forbidden Broadway. And that show, it's a show I should tell everyone listening and watching. It parodies and spoofs. It makes fun, loving with love, of all of the big Broadway shows and their stars. So the show always had 2 men and 2 women that pretty much played every role on Broadway. Very talented people. And since I was very little, I would watch that show and I would get all of the different cast albums because every year with a new theater season, they had to create a new show to match. So it was this ongoing obsession of mine, Forbidden Broadway. So I knew the material, I knew the comedy style, and I knew that the actors in it very often did impressions of the Broadway stars, like Bernadette Peters, or Barbara Streisand, or Idina Menzel, or Kristen Chenoweth. I heard them do some voices. You didn't have to do impressions, but it was a bonus, right? So when I went to the audition, I was scared because I really had never done impressions in public, in front of anyone. But I thought, what do I have to lose? When you're an actor, you go for it. You got nothing to lose. So
Yeah.
I went in and I did a few. I sang in my own voice first, and they say, "Do you have any impressions?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, of course, of course." And I did a few. I think I did Judy Garland, Bernadette Peters, Kristen Chenoweth. And I knew I could do Celine Dion. So even though she
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
even though she was not a Broadway star, of course I sang a little bit of Celine Dion. But
Uh,
I said, I tell you what, I'll have Celine Dion sing Sunset Boulevard, from the musical Sunset Boulevard. So I went, yes, everything's as if we never said goodbye. And they were, oh, that's so good. And I remember it going well. And I thought, good. Now impressions, I don't have to be embarrassed to do them. I'll say goodbye. I learned my lesson. I never thought that I would get called back, get the
yeah.
job, and then all of a sudden I was reviewed to New York and the world as an impressionist, and that was when I realized, oh, okay, I should do something with this. So I started trying more impressions, being at home, making funny faces in the mirror, making funny voices. My neighbors think I'm crazy. But that's what started my interest in seeing what I could do. How could I learn and stretch myself? So I really only have been practicing impressions since 2008. Yeah.
Ooh.
Long answer. Sorry. I'm a
No
Yeah.
worries.
chatterbox.
Really
Perfect.
interesting. We have a little walk down memory lane right now because there's a concert that you gave at 54 Below, which is a very, very famous cabaret in New York. And I think that night pretty much changed your life
Yep,
because
this is when everything changed. I know what you're gonna play.
yes, let me play a little video.
Okay.
So, how do you,
And I watch it and I go, oh, it's terrible. But it's okay, everybody loved it.
so how did Total
Wow.
Eclipse of the Heart change your life?
Well, you know what's funny is in New York, what like I said, people kept saying, come do impressions, come sing at this event or this gala or this concert, come do impressions. And so I went and I thought, what can I create? In Forbidden Broadway, it focused on Broadway, but that leaves out all of the pop vocalists that people know, and I wanted to perform for a wider audience. So I had spent some time creating my own solo show, my own show, my own concert with arrangements of the music made just for me. And I had done that show. I definitely did one round of that show, and just one season, and everybody liked it. And I was writing my next one. And I was trying to find new material, some fun things to do. And I thought, oh, that song Total Eclipse of the Heart. That's a good song. Everybody knows it. It's very dramatic. Oh, turn around, So I thought there's humor, a little bit of comedy in it. And a great thing about doing multiple impressions, many impressions in one song, if the song has phrases that repeat, then the audience gets to hear how I change my voice and style for each voice. So the song was very good for impressions. The very first time I ever tried it in public, not my own show, just a piano bar at 54 Below. That night, the host said, Christina, come up and sing something. I went, oh, okay, I'll try this. Had never done it before, was not very prepared, but it was filmed. And that was it. And so it makes me crazy because I thought, oh, it was a mess. I didn't know what I was doing. But I think that's what the audience and the YouTube viewers liked about it, was that it was very organic, very spontaneous. And the fact that I was a little flustered, I think everybody really appreciated how real it was. And I posted it on YouTube just because really the audience loved it so much, even though I was already very self-critical of what I did and of course I didn't like most of it. Why would I? I'm very particular. I'm very hard on myself. But I thought, oh, don't be so precious, post it, see what happens. And I uploaded this video and I went to sleep And I woke up and my phone and my email, everything was crazy. It had millions of views overnight. And I was getting phone calls from online publications, media, newspapers, and from all over the world too, not just America, but Australia, particularly England, Brazil. And I thought, oh, this is what they mean when they say a viral video, a viral YouTube video. But whereas most videos that, well, many, not most, but whereas many videos that go viral, once it goes viral, it's something that happened, right? Like, I don't know if you know the reference, but do you guys know that the British YouTube video that went viral, that Charlie bit my finger?
No.
Oh, okay. Everybody's now going, what is this? Look it up. But it's a little boy and his brother, and he's complaining that his little brother bit his finger. And it's a very funny bit. But you can't sell that once it's over. You can't do anything. But with me, they would say, oh, but you're a singer and you could come somewhere and do this. So I was able to take what was popular on YouTube and translate it into live concert work and appearances. And so I got calls to be on TV shows like the Ellen DeGeneres show, and in the US and in the UK, a big show, the Paul O'Grady show. I was on all these radio shows, and this one video, this one moment, and the exposure that it brought me, I have been able over the years to now say it really is the thing that catapulted me and changed my life and opened what I did up to a much larger audience than I would have ever had just performing. Even if I was the lead of 3 Broadway shows, I never would have had the exposure that this YouTube video brought me. So yeah, amazing.
And good thing you're talking about TV shows, because we have a little something. Look at that.
Oh, okay.
Please welcome Christina Bianco.
Up and down and down, I got a little bit lonely and you're never coming round.
Shakira.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired listening to the sound of my tears.
Gwen Stefani.
Every now and then I get a little bit nervous. The best of all the years have gone by.
Cher.
Every now and then I get a little bit terrified, but then I see the look in your eyes.
Barbara Streisand.
Every now and then I fall apart.
Liza Minnelli.
I need you now tonight, yes, and I need you more than ever.
Wow.
My face the whole time is just like cringe.
Wow, wow.
Oh, video.
I get anxiety when I see it. I'm very happy, but I get anxious because you see how I was looking to Ellen to say the names, and before Liza Minnelli, she didn't say it because it was to a track, and it had to be boom, name, and she didn't say them fast enough. So I was like, go! And people since then made fun. People since then have made fun of me because I kept pointing at her like, it's your cue, Ellen. So it was very, but it was stressful, and but of course, incredible, and I'm so very grateful. Yeah, and even that video, now it's on somebody else's YouTube channel and has a lot of views, but for a while Ellen had that up on her own YouTube channel, and it had just as many millions of views as the one that I posted, which I think was about 8 million views. It's incredible. What that song did for me and what the Ellen DeGeneres appearance did for me is crazy. But yes, I listen to it now and I go, oh, I was terrible. Because you get better as you get, everything with practice and performance, you do better. And so I know, considering how nervous I was, and it's so funny for television, very often you do a sound check, beforehand, like any performance, you check the level of the track or the musicians, and then I would check, how I hear myself and a little bit of reverb. But you don't do it when the audience is there. Mm-hmm. So as soon as the audience comes in the room, all of the sound changes, right? Now, if it's theater, if you're in a long-running show, you kind of know those changes, and you can go back the next night and say, okay, well, with the audience, and we will need to make this. You don't get that opportunity when you have one shot once on TV. And then once you do it, they put it on TV and they change the levels for broadcasting. So I hear that and I go, that sounds terrible. You have to separate yourself from that and just look at it and go, I cannot believe that happened. I look so young. Oh my God. That was so nice.
You still are.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I don't feel it today, but I was.
Yeah.
No,
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 yeah, I was just thinking that coming to Ellen, you might have known at that time that it will completely maybe change your life. Did you
Yeah.
already think about that, or you're like, I'm going and we'll see what happens?
Well, I was when the phone started ringing for me to do certain appearances, when the video went viral, everybody said, "Oh, Ellen's gonna call you." And I was like, "I know, please, you gotta like be really famous or whatever, you know." And she had some YouTube performers or YouTube personalities on, but I thought I don't think it's gonna happen. So finally, when the phone call came from not Ellen herself, but Ellen's producers, the team of the show, I did have that moment where I kind of just sat down and I was like, "Oh my God, that's the ultimate exposure, the ultimate TV show, the biggest celebrity." But even then, you think, well, people could watch it and go, "She's not very good," because it's for everybody that loves it, particularly when you post a video on YouTube, you always say don't read the comments because people can be so cruel and sometimes just mean for the fun of it, just to say mean things. So I did think to myself, what if I go on and people think I'm terrible? And that wouldn't be good. So I was, even though I knew that more people probably would enjoy it, I was also a little bit scared about, even after I filmed it, about how I sounded, how it would go over, how it would be received. Another part of that is because I don't, as you know, I don't just do impressions. I also perform as, in my own voice, either in concert singing as me or in a play or a musical taking on a character, but I don't do an impression of at Liberty. I sing in my own voice. So another part of me thought, oh no, what if I'm just seen now as this impressionist? So even though it was such a fantastic opportunity that I knew I had to take, this chance, I there was a lot where I was still very nervous about it. So that's why I say I was anxious as well.
Yeah.
And then you arrived, like you said before, off Broadway with Forbidden Broadway, but not only that, but you got a Drama Desk nomination for that.
I did, and it was my very first. It was my very first show in New York, where your name is in a playbill, like a big fancy playbill, the professional. And I remember just thinking, it doesn't get better than this because I was in one of my dream shows. Ever since I was a baby, I was, like I said, going to see the show and listening to it. I think the show ran, by the time I was in it, my gosh, the show had been running like 28 years or something like that, like crazy. So it was a dream show. It was reviewed very well. I was lucky to be reviewed very well. I didn't even know that Drama Desk Award nominations were happening. Because to me, I thought, oh, well, if we get a nomination for best, review, the show would be called a musical review. So I thought, okay, if we get nomination for best review, they'll tell us when we get to work, And the phone started ringing very early in the morning. And they said, Christina, congratulations. I was like, oh, good, yeah, for Forbidden Broadway. Like, I didn't even know that I would be considered for the nomination. So that was incredible. And also because my one of my idols, particularly for doing impressions, so wonderful actress, her name is Christine Petty. So look her up, Christine Petty. She does the world's best Liza Minnelli impression you've ever seen, and a million others. Angela Lansbury, the raspy voiced woman, Elaine Stritch. Oh, these gorgeous voices that I don't do like her. I don't even try because she does that. Christine Petty, I was watching again in these shows forever. And only 2 other women that have ever done Forbidden Broadway have been nominated for a Drama Desk Award, and Christine Petty is one of them. So I was literally thinking, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like following in the footsteps of one of my heroes. So there were lots of layers of my being very overwhelmed and so appreciative. And for Drama Desk Awards, it's a unique awards ceremony. We love it in New York because the Tony Awards are just Broadway. And there are some other award shows that are just for off-Broadway, but the Drama Desk is the only one that puts Broadway and off-Broadway into the same category. So yes, it is very unlikely that somebody in an off-Broadway show will win the award over somebody in a big hit Broadway show. So I had no illusions of winning, but I was just there like, I'm nominated. So it was great. Yeah.
For those who have never seen you in Forbidden Broadway, let's have a look.
Oh. Yes, and that was the original production that I did. Yeah.
Um,
So it was, oh, look at that. Memory lane.
We can see it's not the only production you've done on Broadway, because there's Application Pending and Musical, the musical. Can you tell us more
Yeah.
about those two?
Sure. So after I did Forbidden Broadway, it's funny, the show is running, I think I told you the show was running years,
Yeah,
like 20 something years. And the writer, nobody knew this, least of all me, was finally thinking of taking a break. Like not writing every new, can you imagine turning out an entirely new show every season? It's very difficult. And so he was finally thinking of taking a break. Right when I got the job, the nerve of him. How dare he? I thought I had a job for the next few years. But so he said, you know what? The show's been a hit. Let's go out with a bang, and I'm going to take a break. So I didn't have the job to continue the next year. They just closed the show, even though it was a hit. So everybody wanted me to do more impression work and comedy work. And at first I thought, oh, maybe I should do something different. I thought, no, keep this going, keep the momentum going. You're still learning impressions. You're still learning more. I've always wanted to do those sketch comedy shows. And so there's this musical is a show that spoofs the news and pop culture. So on that show, instead of just doing Broadway impressions, then I was asked to do Lady Gaga and Kim Kardashian and lots of, Hollywood celebrities like Drew Barrymore or, hey, Jennifer Aniston. She's great. Wow. So I started pushing myself to learn and having a reason to learn these more pop culture impressions. So I was in that show for quite some time, and that's when I think I was also doing a late night cabaret show at a nightclub. So I'd finish musical, and every Thursday, then I would run or take a taxi to Uptown to Feinstein's at the Regency Hotel, and I was in a late night cabaret called 11 O'Clock Numbers at 11 o'clock, like it was late. So it was crazy fun. I felt like I was really, living the New York dream, hopping from show to show. And somewhere in there is when my YouTube video went viral. So then it changed everything, and I left musical to do more concert work and more touring, and to take advantage of all that. Application Pending came. Oh, while all that was happening, then my big thrill was there was a production of Forbidden Broadway that had been playing in London at the very prestigious Meunier Chocolate Factory. It's an incredible theater. Yeah. And they did this production, and it was such a hit. They kept extending it. They said, we can't extend it anymore. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move it to the West End. Now, the Meunier Chocolate Factory is prestigious and wonderful, but the West End obviously seats many more people, and it's quite a big deal. So, but one of the cast members was already booked to be in a different West End show. So lucky her. She's a very talented woman, Sophie Louise Dunn. And she could no longer be in Forbidden Broadway. So they should have hired some British actor. But because I was at that point playing my solo concerts all over London, and selling them out and doing lots of press, the artistic director of that theater, David Babani, he saw that and he went, oh, and she was in Forbidden Broadway. Oh, and she was up for an award for Forbidden Broadway. Oh, that's perfect. We'll get her to do it. So that's when my YouTube success combined with my theater experience, because they never would have asked me to do Forbidden Broadway had I just been some girl from YouTube. But they also wouldn't have chose me to come relocate to London from Forbidden Broadway in New York if nobody knew who I was. So those two things came together, and that's when I really felt like, okay, now I feel like all of both the worlds have come to be one, and I don't have to worry that people will go, oh, she's just that voice girl. They know I'm a real performer that can go on stage. And so while I was in that show, Application Pending came about. There is a wonderful director, writer, producer. His name is Andy Sandberg. Andy Sandberg is the celebrity actor. Andy Sandberg is my friend. So Andy Sandberg, he approached me about this play, Application Pending, a while ago, before I left for London to do Forbidden Broadway. And he said, I can't think of anybody else who can do this job but you. Which is always, you go, why? And he said, well, it's one person playing about 40 different characters. I was like, oh, this sounds so hard, but it's also, I like a challenge, right? So the show is about, and I'll try to say this as clearly as I can, do you have very what should I say? It's about admissions at a very prestigious school for little kids. For like, we have kindergarten or primary school. I don't know when you have, and it can be very competitive. These parents will do anything to get their kids into this school, even before they're born. Right? So my character is newly appointed out of nowhere, head of admissions. She doesn't really know what she's doing, and she's very nice and not very, not very equipped for the job. And so she picks up, hi, Christine, head of admissions. Hi, my daughter wants to get into this school. Okay, I'll call you right back. 1 second. Hey, my kid wants to go to the school. So I kept changing voices and talking as the parents who were calling, the other teachers in the school, family members. So 40 different characters, 40 different voices, me. So after Forbidden Broadway, I went right to New York and rehearsed this show, and I did it. And it was, to this day, I can say, the hardest thing I have ever done, period. I've always said, well, I did application pending, so I can do anything. So, and the show ended, even though you hate when the show closes, I did feel this wave of relief wash over me, like, oh, because it was so stressful. It was so difficult to memorize, because you're not waiting for anyone else to give you a line or a cue. It was all me. And so I did go, okay, it's over. It was worth it. It was so great to do that. But then I was actually in Scotland doing a concert when I got the call that I got another Drama Desk nomination for my work in that show. So even then, it was like icing on the cake. You know, it was great. So I've been babbling a lot.
No worries. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So after all this amazing experience, what actually makes you cross the Atlantic and come to Europe? I mean, leading to your own show.
Yeah, well, there was a friend of mine. His name is Ian Stroyer, and his other character is Velma Celli. Look it up. Ian was very, he's been in a bunch of West End shows, so his friends are all West End performers, and he was aware that my YouTube videos were being circulated around the West End casts and the children at the musical theater programs, the colleges. So, and this was actually before my Total Eclipse of the Heart video went viral. They just knew me from Forbidden Broadway, and any video I posted previously, it wasn't the first thing I ever posted, the Total Eclipse video. They were watching. So he reached out to me and he said, you should come to London. I think you'd do well. And he said, I can get you booked at the Hippodrome. And I said, you're crazy. I can't fill the Hippodrome. He's like, no, it's not that big. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll deal with it. We'll take care. We'll work on promotion. It's a very prestigious venue. It'll be fine. And I thought, well, okay, but we'll see what happens. But if nobody comes, don't blame me. I don't want to get blamed. And he's like, no, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And when those tickets were on sale is when my Total Eclipse of the Heart video went viral. So my show sold out. So they added another because the venue was available the next day, and that sold out. So then they kicked out the person that was performing the rest of the weekend, and I sold out 2 more shows. Now, even that speed at which that happened, as popular as I am, I knew that probably would never happen even again. It was just the immediacy of it. I put an ad on the YouTube video, it was a click of a button, and all of a sudden I had sold out a run at the Hippodrome. So once that happened, then more opportunities came from Europe. And also, of course, it made me very endeared to and grateful to the people of London and the people of Britain who showed up and came to see that show. So that started me off. That first show was my first cabaret called Diva Moments. And then I wrote another, wacky concert show. They're not just concerts, obviously, because I like to tell a little story. I like to make them different and write. I'm not a stand-up comedian, but my shows, of course, have some comedy in them and sketches. So it takes a long time to write them and put them together. So my next show was called Party of One. Christina Bianco, Party of One. I'm doing all the characters. So all of my titles have something to do with having a multiple personalities. That one was for me, myself, and everyone else. And that was my first UK tour. And so that was incredible. It was just incredible to tour the UK and actually get to see more of the beautiful country, but then to reach people that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to come to London or Scotland. So it was just incredible, and it started my love affair with the UK and Europe. And then pretty soon I said, well, where else can I perform in Europe? So I think I played Geneva, Switzerland, and Sitges in Spain, and then I got a lot of work in Australia, which is obviously farther away. But yeah, it opened the world to me, and eventually led me to Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But
Yeah.
then your audience and fans helped you launching out your first album, Life of
Yes.
the Party, that's on iTunes and Amazon Music. How did that happen?
Well, people had asked me for a very long time to make an album, and I'll tell you the real truth is there were lots of professional people who are in the music industry who wanted me to make an album as well. And so sometimes you go, okay, well, let's see which party has the best deal, the best offer, you know. But a lot of people who are very kind and generous and wanted to fund, you know, a great portion of the album, they wanted me to do either an album that was just impressions, and I thought, well, I don't do that. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you want to listen to me doing an impression, you know, come see me live. It's just, I don't want to record the voice of somebody or listen to a Celine Dion album if you want to hear me see Celine Dion. So I don't want to do that. And then someone else said, well, great, we'll just do, you know, a bunch of Broadway show tunes. And I went, well, that's fine, but I don't even have a big Broadway credit to be like, I'm doing that. I said, everyone does that. So the problem was I didn't know what kind of album to put out. See, the thing that I love is that I get to sing all different styles of music in my shows and in life now. I get to sing pop, rock, jazz, Broadway, you know, standards, and sing an Edith Piaf song and then sing an Ariana Grande bit, you know. So when it comes to pleasing my audience, choosing one genre of music to put into a studio album was very difficult. So I thought, before I do a studio album, I'll do a live album. And because I was sort of doing it for the public and the people, and frankly, no big producer wanted to help produce a live album, it's a very different beast, I thought, well, I'll do it myself. And, you know, it's very expensive to do an album. So I thought, well, we'll just see. Maybe I'll do a little crowdfund and I'll see what happens. I was prepared to still make the album and do it all myself, even if I didn't, you know, raise all the money. I was going to make this album. But I was so glad that I did it, because by doing the crowdfunding, I was able to have a lot of fun offering perks, they say. So for every donation, there's a matching gift, matching perk. So some of them was, if you donated a certain amount of money, you would get the CD, you'd get a t-shirt, and me leaving your outgoing voicemail message as, I don't know who I should say, as Liza Minnelli. Like, you know, Thomas isn't here right now, but he thinks you're just terrific, and he's going to call you right back. But right now, he's listening to New York, New York. You know, I would just do something like that and get it to their specifications. So there were all these little perks, and people really showed up and were really excited about them, and we went past our goal. So this album means so much to me, because not only is it's just one of my live concerts. I kind of try to do some new stuff and some classic stuff that people already knew that would please my existing fan base, but hopefully still be of interest to people who didn't know me already. But if you don't know me and you don't know my work, or you've never seen a live concert, you can just close your eyes and listen, and it's as if you're at an entire live show with all the talking in between the songs, and you know I talk. So that was it was great. But to know that I made it for my pre-existing fans, and that they showed the support and the enthusiasm for it that helped me make it, it was just this beautiful love fest. So now I can say I am working on a studio album, because now I feel like I've earned the right to do that. But yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. I recorded it in London, which made sense, because that, although I love New York, it kind of made sense to do it in the middle of all the worlds that I'm a part of.
Yeah, how much the musical actually influence your work, like the creation of your show or of your album, for example?
How much does the music, did you say?
Yeah, the musical, like the musical.
Do you know,
Yeah.
because I was raised on musical theater. You know, children today, if they want to sing, they have lots of different opportunities and outlets, and they can press a button on YouTube and they can sing along to things. For me, when I was little, we didn't have all that. We did not have cell phones where you could play a song and watch a video, you know. So theater was my only outlet. So I really do love, I guess my heart is in musical theater. And I think part of that is the story of a song. So although I do, trust me, I love jazz and standards and swing and rock and roll. I love it. But I think as an actor, I always connect to the songs with those stories. So in putting together my concerts, I try to find a balance of that material. But I think you'll always find I'm very drawn to the story songs, the ones that are not just, ooh, baby, yeah. you know. So it's funny, but I guess it influences me like that. They're always peppered in, you know, sort of like my favorite little bits. So if that answers your question, yeah, it helps me form the concert because then it gives me a little bit of a base. And again, you know, when people come to see me, even people who haven't seen me before, they will expect impressions, but they should also expect songs in my own voice. And it's not because, I must, for my ego, I need to sing in my own voice. Well, one, I enjoy singing both, so I'm going to do both. It's my show. It's what I like to do. I love impressions, but I also love singing as me, so I'm going to balance it out if I can. But I think for an audience to listen to me sing impressions all night long, it can get tiring. You can get a little bored. Even the best impressionists in the world, you have to find new ways to present your material. If I just sang a Celine Dion song as Celine Dion and a Bette Midler song as Bette Midler, after a while it gets a little boring. That's why I do things like, well, now I have Bette Midler sing a Celine Dion song and Celine Dion sing The Rose. You know, that's what I like, playing with it. And then you think of other ways to do that and other ways to be different and play. And another great way to have them remember and appreciate kind of how I'm changing my voice is to have my own voice between it. So it's a little bit of a palate cleanser. Do you know what I mean? It's a little like, oh yeah, that's what she sounds like. So then they can better appreciate it. Well, I do something like this. Like they understand how I'm switching it because they know what this really is. So I think it helps the audience as well. So it's not just selfish, it's for them too.
And is there a number that you never get tired of? Like a number you always enjoy to do no matter what? That's like your little favorite pleasure, guilty pleasure.
Yeah, actually, it's the title of my album, Life of the Party. I did a cabaret, and I use that word very loosely. Like, I don't know, we didn't know what we were doing. We were young, and we were putting on our first like New York cabaret at a very famous little piano bar in New York called Don't Tell Mamas. And it was the first time I, was trying to write anything. And myself and my girlfriend Tammy, we're both 4'11", so we made the whole show about being petite. Yeah. And we called it 5 feet under. So in this show, we didn't, like I said, really know what we were doing. And I remember teaching myself the song Life of the Party. I had heard it on Andrew Lippa's The Wild Party album, and Idina Menzel actually was the person to sing it on that album. And I just liked it, and I thought I gotta learn that one. That would be good for me. I never thought that like a decade later I would still be singing it, but I've changed how I sing it. I rearranged it. We gave it a cool new different arrangement, and so I sing it all the time. And I've even opened a couple of different shows with it because people know I do it and like it, and it makes sense, Life of the Party, and I'm a wacky gal, so it works. So when it came to titling this album, it was like, well, I think the whole point is that you can invite one person and she'll entertain the whole party full of people. So, and you have to get the album to look at it or download it and get the liner notes. But we put together a picture on the inside where the album unfolds. And it looks like it's an empty ballroom with a table over here, a table over here. And on the tables are signature things for each diva, like the Heart of the Ocean for Celine, a big boa and a martini for Shirley Bassey, like James Bond. Bette Midler has a character, Dolores Delgado, that's the mermaid in the chair, so a mermaid fin. Like, we had little symbols. And then there's the last table, and it's me with a bottle of champagne and just passed out as if I was all the women, like partying by myself, and it's very sweet. So we tried to really tie in the whole partying with the divas attitude of it, and that we hope the album reflects that. But yeah, Life of the Party, that's the song. It's feisty. It's got a little jazzy swing to it, which is my favorite. The musical theater songs I love, if I can find a way to swing it. I don't know. I think I was born in the wrong era. I should have been born in like the 50s. I really, really. So I love it. It's got a little swing and jazz to it. I get to belt, which is fun. But hit some cool money notes in there. I love the song. So Life of the Party. That was a long answer again. I told you I was going to keep babbling.
No worries, we love it. And now
We love it, actually.
We're gonna travel with you. Actually, we're gonna travel to Paris.
Yeah, we're going to be
Very
there.
dear to our heart. Let's look at it.
Yeah, we
Yay!
actually love
Be a person who needs people. People who need people. Are the luckiest people in the world. Have you guessed yet? Who's the best yet? If you ain't, I'll tell you one more time. You betcha last time. And all of the world's how far I'm the greatest star.
How amazing.
I get emotional immediately because I just want to take me back to Paris to do it. Oh, I love it.
Oh, so tell us a little bit more about this experience. How actually did you become the leading lady of one of the most popular, amazing musical revival of Broadway in
Oh my
Paris?
gosh. I know it sounds crazy. How did you do it? And in Paris. And that's the thing is that it was an incredible experience in general. But then to put it in Paris is just unbelievable. Because I was performing a lot in the UK, and had been in the West End there and done my concerts there. My agent is a British agent now, my theatrical agent, and I have been seen, whether by them coming to see concerts or me auditioning, by a lot of British directors and choreographers and creative teams. So first, I'm lucky that I'm even known in the UK, because this production of Funny Girl, I did not have auditions in the States. So I just got lucky there that I knew them. But it's funny, the wonderful, and I don't say this lightly, one of the most talented humans of all time and one of the kindest human beings of all time, Stephen Mear, is an incredible, very successful and well-known West End Olivier Award-winning choreographer. But he's also a wonderful director, and he does direct frequently, but I still think people don't give him enough credit because he was first known as a choreographer. As somebody like me who wears multiple hats, singer, actor, impressionist, right, I always fight for people to know that I do it all. So Stephen Mear needs to be appreciated because he's a beautiful director. So he tweeted that he was going to do this big production of Funny Girl. He had already done a production with Jean-Luc Choplin at the Théâtre Marigny in Paris, and this was going to be his second, and he was so excited to do Funny Girl. And everybody who follows Stephen Mear on social media, everyone he's ever worked with, thousands of people, they're all writing, "Oh, congratulations, this sounds great." And everyone just kept saying, "Who's your Fanny? Who's your Fanny Bryce? Who's playing the lead?" Because you can't imagine doing a production of Funny Girl without already having the lead cast. Which I think is often the problem with a lot of productions. Well, we can talk about that later. I think it's always great when you don't know who she is very well, because that's how Barbra Streisand was when she got the part. So anyway, I digress. And I come across very confident and tough New Yorker, but not when it really matters. Right? I get very shy. It's funny, but I do. I get very shy, and I go, "Oh no, I shouldn't say that. No, it's not the right time." But I decided to be a little gutsy, and I tweeted back to Stephen's note that he was doing Funny Girl. I said, "This sounds great. I can't wait to see what you do with this production. And I know a petite New Yorker you should consider." Meaning me. Hey, and he wrote back publicly, "You'd be brilliant." And I thought, oh, that's good. That means that he has to audition me now. Like, I have to be seen. I thought, so if it's not already cast, they have to see me because he said I'd be good. So I called my agent and I said, "Hey, if they have auditions for Funny Girl, you gotta get me in. And if I'm in the States, you have to let me submit a video." And he goes, "Okay," thinking nothing of it. Couple of days later, production, notice comes out. They're looking for a Fanny Bryce. My agent submits me. They wrote back and said, "Yes, we'd love to see Christina." I was like, yay! Because you don't know, I've only been seen. No, never. I've never, ever, ever been seen for Fanny Bryce before. I've requested to be seen, but not once. And many times I've asked to be submitted to audition. Wouldn't even let me audition for the part. So to have the opportunity to audition made me so grateful. And I could go on and on forever, but I won't. I was, of course, traveling all over the United States at that point, always. So I got, they said, can you film a video? You have a week to do it. I was like, no, I have 2 days to do it because I'm leaving town. So my husband, who's going to come up soon with my dogs, you're going to hear them enter. My husband read the scenes for me. We used this curtain and we filmed my audition. And it was, I just did my best. But with an audition on video, you don't never think that your chances are strong because you're not in person. You can't take direction. You can't take notes. But I thought, if Stephen wants any direction from me, hopefully he'll have me send another video. Or if they want to see me for a callback, I will fly over there and do it, They loved the video. And long story short, in what seemed like no time at all, I was told I would be playing Fanny Bryce in this production of Funny Girl. And I definitely thought, there's a mistake. There's a mistake. Because for surely they would hire some big West End star. Or surely, they don't mean the lead. They mean like an understudy or something. And it came very clear very quickly that no, they wanted me. And apparently Stephen loved me right away and knew it was me right away. But he had to, of course, convince the wonderful, famous, award-winning artistic director of the theater, Jean-Luc Choplin. And so after they watched my video, I hear even, that he turned and he said, so what do you think? And as Jean-Luc has now said in interviews, he went, that is funny. That is her. So for me to never be considered for it, never even get to audition for it, to then have people unanimously know that I'm the right person to play it from watching a video is just one of those moments that I couldn't, I'm going to cry. Like, they just knew it was right. And that's the way I was treated when I showed up. They're like, do what you do. They weren't trying to make me be like Barbara Streisand, of course not. And they didn't want me, they trusted my instincts and they wanted me to make it my own. And they liked what I brought to it. And so then it was so easy to be collaborative and work together to make this whole beautiful production and create this new world, this new Funny Girl, this new production. And yeah, we rehearsed in London, and then I was the only American, and all of the Brits and me moved to Paris. And we were worried it wouldn't be this New York show with all this New York dialect and slang and themes wouldn't necessarily come across to a Parisian audience. It was just with subtitles. But it became clear immediately that the story was just from the heart, and it was so accessible. It broke. You didn't need the language. Wasn't an issue. The story came through anyway. So the fact that it was received well and then extended, I just felt like I was living in a dream the whole time. Just the whole time.
That's what
I ate too much. I went out to see the world too much, but other than being exhausted and coming home much heavier than I came, it was the greatest thing ever.
Well, everyone raved about it, like audiences, all the medias, the musical blogs, like, there was not a single bad line about the show. Everyone loved it.
No, and it's very rare. Hi, puppy. It's okay. My husband and dog are here. New York studio apartment. Hello. You try not to look at reviews. You try not to look at reviews. At least most people don't. You sort of say, well, if you believe all the good press, then you have to believe all the bad press, and vice versa. So it's best just not to look. But then sometimes when you hear it's so good, and it's so good, and it's so good, you're like, oh, how could I not read these? It sounds like it's a really good... It's very rare when there's something that is so unanimously enjoyed and praised. And not just in the French papers, then a lot of the British press came. And also we had the very big and scary day when the New York Times came. And so, yeah, even if we... there was talk of bringing this production somewhere else and having this beautiful production have a further life, further performance life. But with the pandemic, which we don't like to discuss, but everything obviously changed. So rather than be sad that maybe it might not get to go on, I say, every show has to have an end at some point, and that could not have been any better. And so to also have these great reviews and that New York Times review, it's like, no one could ever take that away from any of us. So it's perfect no matter what happens.
Would
Especially
you
on-
say? Yeah,
like-
sorry.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So would you say actually that French people are a tough audience or more difficult to convince?
I would say pretty. I don't think that they were much more tough. No, I think a British audience has a reputation for being very tough and reserved, and I also don't think they are either. So maybe I'm just always in shows that are very joyous and get people excited and leaning forward in their seat, because that's what we tend to get. People don't sit back like this. You know, a lot of Americans
That would
do
be
that,
awful.
I think. No, I think a lot of Americans do that. I think a lot of people come
Oh,
to
really?
Broadway. They spend all this money to come see a Broadway show, and they kind of go,
Let's see what you
Entertain
can do. Oh my God.
yeah. But I think that I find a lot of the British audiences, and now the Parisian audience, definitely kind of was engaged and leaning forward. And it was nice, too, because we got to hear the difference between people who were listening to us do it and understanding us speaking in English with people who are reading the subtitles, because there'd be two waves of laughter. Sometimes
Yeah.
we'd say, and the show is very fast, and as you can tell in real life, I talk quickly, but Fanny Bryce talked even faster. So I would say things, and then all of a sudden you'd hear a laugh, and then you'd wait, and you'd hear more of a laugh, and everyone that read it. So it was another interesting way. As I said, it makes it a little bit difficult for me to judge. But I would say no. I'd say that they were equally as engaged, and like I said, more leaning forward than being like, "Show me what you can do." So.
Yeah.
Do you think a Broadway theater would have had a different kind of reacting to the show in terms of laughter or being more out loud, or what would you describe?
Well, this is not quite what you asked, but I wouldn't have had the job. I don't think they would take a chance on someone new. I think they would have gone for a celebrity, and I think that that's sort of the vibe, the energy that the audience might have felt as well. But I always think it's a mistake, because I think in Funny Girl, if she comes out and you know she's a star already, and you know what she's like, then it's a different journey. You have to not believe it. You have to watch her become a star. So I think if it was a Broadway audience, yeah, I think that I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine, because I think that
Yeah.
there'd be that they would just assume that she would be a celebrity. So that assumption. You know, the U.S. audiences are the ones that sit back like this, but they're also the ones that jump to their feet, even
Yeah.
if the show wasn't very good. So it's a funny balance, and now performing so much in the UK and Paris, and nobody gives applause like Paris. So that's what I can say to answer your question. I will say this: I have never in my life heard grand applause like in Paris, because they got on a certain clap thing that they wanted, and they all started clapping together. That's not done anywhere else. And the stamping of the feet that they do
Yeah.
at opera sometimes, that's very, opera is very, even though we have opera here in the States, it's a very much a European thing, and it's appreciated more, I think, in Europe. So the stomping of the feet and the clapping in time, yeah, that would not happen on Broadway at all. So yeah, it was really grand and really lovely, and yeah, that's the only way I think I can answer that question.
Something happened on your last day of performance, because you were awarded with the highest French award, the
Yeah.
Trophée d'honneur de la comédie musicale. And how did you react to that? Were you expecting like that kind of love? No?
No, I wasn't, because we all came in as outsiders. You know, Paris was so accepting of a bunch of British performers in a British show and an American lead. And I think in a city where, of course, they're always bringing in different productions from all over, though, you do expect a little bit of, skepticism, a little bit of skeptical of this, a show that's all in English, entirely in English. So that, in and of itself, just to be accepted, the production was so well received, that was good enough. But then to receive an award for a performance where there's always, there's so many beautiful productions and so many beautiful things that happen in Paris. And of course, in 2020, they thought the season would go on even longer, of course, which unfortunately it did not. But it was such an honor, because like I said, everybody made me feel so invited. I was welcomed with open arms the entire time. So to have that button, the finale of my experience, be given an award like that, by such lovely people, it was amazing. I certainly didn't expect it, but it just went with the theme that everybody's lovely. You know, the stereotypes, and you're aware of this, the stereotype of the French is that you're cold and tough, and now I know that is absolutely a lie that you've just made up to keep people from maybe visiting for too long. But I know your secret now. You're all warm and fuzzy. So it was lovely, and it's right over my award's right over there on the wall in a rightful place. Yeah, it's an incredible honor, and it just, yeah, like I said, it was a perfect little bow, ribbon on the gift that was this whole experience.
Oh, this is such a pleasure to know that you have this award somewhere, like just right beside you.
Oh, I know. I should wait. Hold on, I'll get it.
Oh yeah.
My dog. Jeffrey, you're excited. And the glare, there it is. Oh, my reflection.
Yeah.
It was handmade by our team.
My dog loves it as well. But yes, it's beautiful.
Do you know handmade?
It's just lovely. But no, I've got my fingerprints on it. I have to watch.
Yeah.
I keep it nice and clean.
Fine. It's still in good shape anyway.
Thank you. And it came over, after, I was away for obviously like 5 months with Funny Girl, but prior to that, I was doing my UK tour. So I was abroad for about 8 months. So I had a lot of luggage coming home. A lot of luggage. And so there were certain things that I had left with a friend thinking, oh, I'll be back, because I was meant to be back in the UK, but also actually doing some master classes in Paris not that long after. So I thought, I'll pick this up later. And so I didn't have it it was going to be a few weeks, but it ended up being a few months. So I then had a nice delivery service send these suitcases from I think both were in England at the time, but send them back to me. And it was so great because in the very top front, beautifully protected in the main suitcase was this. And I was reunited with my lovely award. So that's, like I said, I keep it on a nice, beautiful space on the shelf. So everybody's forced to see it.
That's good. The French are here in your apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's such a nice memory.
Yeah, it's just an incredible gift. And yeah, I mean, I just take me back every time I talk about it. In the business, as you well know, when you're in a production and you're in a show, you form such a tight bond with your fellow performers, but also with everybody involved. So the wig masters, the people that help with makeup, the props, the costume team, and just the crew, the sound team. For me, it's always about the sound team because I'm a very particular vocalist. So if they don't love me, we have a problem. We have to love each other and be good to each other, and that's how I sound good for the audience. And you form this tight family, and when a show ends, you always feel that loss. Like, it's heartbreak, you mourn the loss of the show and the family that is no longer, we'll never be together all like that ever again. But usually you move on to something else because you have another project to focus on. But none of us were able to have another project to focus on. So I always say the Funny Girl is still right here at the front of my heart, and it's the first thing I think of because I haven't had anything else of that significance since. And it's hitting me that I probably may not have any experience as quite as wonderful and magical as that ever again. So I'm going to have to get used to the fact that this one may always just live right there, extra. Just what do you say? How does it go? It's like just ready to pop out. Like, Funny Girl, it's right there.
Well, let's take you back on one of your French TV performances you did at Le Grand Échiquier. Let's show that.
Yes. Go for it.
I guess I didn't make it yet. Ready for me, look, 'cause I'm a comer. I simply got a boss, my heart's a drum and nobody knows.
Doesn't get
No.
better than that, right? Not me, but the song.
Both.
Oh
It's very
gosh.
rare to have musical theater performed live in a French TV show. It's very, very rare.
Yeah, they were like you. I won't do it in a bad French accent for you, but like you are very lucky. Lucky.
Yeah,
They kept saying
you're
like, you know,
very
like
lucky.
yeah, just saying like you'll never see this again. But even in the States, it's very competitive, and so to get any of the Broadway shows on television programs, it's very competitive. A lot of the shows don't want to have multiple Broadway shows on, so some that would be great. They can't even get on because they just did one last month. So I was aware of that, but to hear that it's even more difficult in France, it was incredible. So we had just a little bit of pressure to be good and quick. And I remember when we were there, the issue was that gorgeous floor, the stage, is so shiny and beautiful, but you can imagine how slippery it is. And I just had to walk. The other of my cast, they were tap dancing. You'll never find a more slippery surface. So they tap danced on that floor, and I had to walk out. So I had tape on the bottom of my shoe. So I was like, don't slip. If you slip, you mess it all up, and everyone will make fun of you, and that'll be it. So I'm glad that I did it without falling over, to be honest, really. That was my main thought the whole time. Just don't fall.
Everything went fine.
Yeah.
But back when you started to prepare this part, did you do it differently, knowing that actually the audience won't speak the same language as you? Like, does it make it harder to prepare a role like that in this condition?
The answer is yes, but I went in more concerned about that than our director. I was concerned about finding a pace to speak that matched the subtitle, and that if I was too broad, if I was too big, they'd think I was, too much of a clown, too comedic. But if I didn't indicate certain things, maybe they wouldn't get it. And the director was really, really strict. He said, do not do that. Do it like you. Do it the way you want to do it. And I promise you that the audience will understand. They have subtitles, but they're also human beings that are watching and understand. He said, I don't want you thinking about that, because then you'll all start doing things in a way that's not organic. It's not natural. So he said, just be natural and the audience will go with it. So that's the real answer. He said that very early, the first few rehearsals, and we never discussed it again. So nope, that's Stephen Meyer being very confident in everybody, confident in the storytelling, not just of the actors, but of the set and the costumes. He just knew that he was presenting something that the Parisian people would understand, and he did, clearly, because everybody loved it. But yeah, we were worried he was not.
Cool. Let's now focus a bit more about the future, and we have a little mix of different questions for you. But
Okay, I'm ready.
Is there a voice you always wanted to do but never managed to get?
Yes, a lot. So I'm going to throw a few different names at you, and I don't know who your listeners, I keep saying listeners like it's radio, who your viewers will know, because I'm hoping it, because I'm so tired. But do you have the TV program 30 Rock?
Yeah.
Or Kimmy Schmidt? Okay,
yeah.
Jane
Kimmy Schmidt,
Krakowski, the actress Jane Krakowski. She has a very particular way of speaking, and particularly those two characters that she played on 30 Rock and Kimmy Schmidt. It's that very grand voice. I should be able to do it.
Yeah.
I should. I just can't. It's just so similar. I could say camera, but I can't get it. I just can't do it. So Jane Krakowski, it bothers me that I can't do Jane Krakowski. Because everyone asks me to do it. I do lots of TV characters like Karen on Will and Grace and the cast of Friends, and Mrs. Maisel. I do the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I do Moira Rose. But I can't do Jane Krakowski. So that's a hard one for speaking impressions. Singing impressions, there are so many. A lot of the more, as I was saying earlier, the more deep, raspy voice women I can't do. But then again, if I could do that, then I probably couldn't do Karen Walker or Kristen Chenoweth and the more, very clear, higher voices. But I can't do Mariah Carey. She's again raspy but light. Like it's not a deep voice, but it's raspy, and I don't have that ability at all. And then people always ask me to do like Taylor Swift, and I can't do Taylor Swift. It's all because she doesn't have, my tone isn't the same as hers, and she has such a very light voice. Like there aren't too many many specific things to grab. Yeah. Some people, like Edith Piaf, has a very fast vibrato. And some people, like Bette Midler, a slow vibrato. Taylor Swift very often doesn't even use her vibrato when she sings. It's her choice. So I can't pull that. I can't do it. So it's frustrating that there's somebody that's so famous and so popular, but there's not enough of a hook in her voice for me to grab onto to do. So that's frustrating because some I can't do because of vocal limitations, like I'm never going to sound like Bonnie Tyler with that raspy voice. But with Taylor Swift or Jane Krakowski, it's like I feel like I should be able to find something to hook into, but it hasn't happened yet. So it's frustrating.
Yeah,
is there a voice? Oh, sorry, Thomas.
No, go ahead, Gabby.
Is there a voice that you wouldn't dare to do?
Wouldn't even try?
Can do, but you wouldn't dare to do.
Yeah, that's a really good. No, nobody is. People ask me all sorts of these questions, but typically never that one. I can do, particularly if I'm tired or early in the morning, I can do a okay Tina Turner. Now she has a very raspy voice, but so I can't get that exactly. But she has a lot of character when she sings and pronunciation that's very unique. So that I can grab onto. And so I've done, particularly with the right microphone and the right reverb, and I go, I think I can do this. And it's never what I want it to be. And I also think, I don't typically, other than a few YouTube videos in my concerts, I don't get dressed up as these characters, as these personalities. But I feel like, so I try to take on the physicality the best I can with my own body. It's already funny to watch me try to be Celine Dion because she's so tall, but I lengthen myself as best I can. I make the face, I do it. When it comes to Tina Turner, I don't think there's anything I can do. I don't have the legs for it. So I don't think there's anything I can do that would really make it good. And I've seen a lot of female impressionists like myself do Tina Turner. And what they're doing is kind of what I would do. But personally, I'd leave it alone. So I'm leaving it alone. I don't think it's good enough, or not that I'm just not good enough. I just don't think it's worth it. There are some I don't think translate very well, and I don't think that would translate well coming out of me. The only other people I can impersonate that I choose not to are people who I really don't like. Because I think you have to like who you do. I think you have to do an impression with respect and love. So I won't say the names of these people, but there are a few performers that I can do, and I go, I'm not doing them. I don't want to do them. Unless you're paying me a lot of money and it's just my voice on a radio program or something, I don't want to do it. Because I think imitation has to be the sincerest form of flattery. And I think an audience can tell if I'm not doing it with respect or love. So I just tend to not touch those impressions.
That's good. Okay. And besides Funny Girl, is there like a musical, now that you've done so much on Forbidden Broadway, even if it's like tiny bits, but
right.
You would love to play in?
Yes. Oh, yes. So many. The big one for me now, before I'm too old, is I want to play, everybody wants to play this part. So it's a very cliche answer. I want to play Eva Perón in Evita.
Oh, I love it.
That's the big one for me. That was one of the first plays I was in, a professional production that I was in as a kid. And I did it twice as a kid. So I wanted to do it since I was this big, and I'm only this big now. But what I mean is, I've always loved it, but then actually being in it so many times and sort of having it being a dream, I'll never not be a dream until I do it. I have to do it. And I love Sondheim. So another part that a lot of performers say they want to do is Dot in Sunday in the Park with George. I'd also take any of the roles, really, but of course The Witch in Into the Woods. And I've never done Mac and Mabel. I'd like to play Mabel and Mac and Mabel. Well, pretty much Bernadette Peters' canon of roles is really what we're talking about here. And there's one more, and I could never get it. Oh, it will never happen now because I would not be considered for it. I am too old at this point. But I always wanted to play the lead in Thoroughly Modern Millie because I love to tap.
Wow.
It's never going to happen. But that would have been fun back in
You
the
could
day.
do anything goes.
I could, but again, you know, I'm a decent tapper, but I don't have the body and the length of a dancer. And having worked in Funny Girl with those gorgeous, tall, perfectly proportioned every day, I was like, oh my God, what am I looking at? These girls are so perfect. It's made me go, I'm going to let them do that, and I'm just going to be the comedic role on the side. But yeah, I also like really funny parts that aren't these big dramatic leads. Like there's the musical, very classy, the musical Urinetown.
Yeah.
I want to be Pennywise. I want to be the one that sings Privilege to Pee. Like, I want that part. I want the funny, quirky character actress. So I do. There are a lot of parts that are not just big leading ladies like that I really like to do. And as I get older, I mean, who wouldn't want to play Mama Rose? Who wouldn't want to play Norma Desmond? You know, there were some great parts for older actresses who have to, you know, have a lot of character. You know, and so I'd like to hope that even though I'm petite, that I will be considered for those sorts of roles in future. Yeah.
Well, now we have a special trivia for you that Gabrielle has for you. You just have to answer
Okay.
the first thing that pops out of your mind.
The first
So,
thing,
Yeah, like
rapid fire. Okay.
rapid
yeah,
fire.
it's like
Really.
quick question, quick answer. It's not difficult. All right.
Okay.
So, favorite musical,
Into the Woods.
favorite role. Too many.
Dot and Sunday in the Park. No, Funny Bryce and Funny Girl. Funny Girl. Funny
Okay.
Bryce.
Okay, this one. Favorite song.
Oh, So in Love from you know, Kiss Me Kate, Cole Porter.
First musical you have ever seen.
First, Cats.
First musical. Oh yeah, Cats.
That's Cats.
First musical you want to see when the theater will be opened.
I want to see the production of City of Angels that was supposed to be going on in London, choreographed by Stephen Mear. City of Angels.
Yeah, go on. And favorite French singer.
Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
Come on.
that's-
There's no contest.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
That was the good answer, and let's listen
Yeah.
to a bit of it.
Let it go, let it go. That perfect girl is gone. Here I stand in the light of day. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.
I get a lot of use out of this curtain.
Yeah. We love
Thank you so much. Oh,
You like it's such like a nice we want to show all of it, but it's hard to show everything.
no. This has been such a lovely, you know, memory watching the videos and the pictures. And I really like what you've chosen. So thank you for making me look so good.
We just have just tiny few stuff, and then we're letting you go because of course, like you've been so busy the past few weeks, we don't want to let you keep too busy with us. Would you like consider coming back to Paris and starring your own show now that the French audience knows you?
I would. I just have to figure out a way to do it because I've thought about that because my French is so poor and I would never expect anyone to think, oh, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to speak English and they have to learn. No, because I should know French. But then again,
Yeah.
to do what I do comfortably, it'd be very difficult for me to speak fluent French. So I want to find a way to balance it out. So as soon as I figure out that way, book me. I'll be there.
But do you know there's an English scene in Paris? Like there's a lot of, because I don't know if you know
Really?
those artists, Paul Taylor, Sebastian Marx, and Olivier Giraud. All the three of them are doing English shows in Paris, and it's always sold out. Everyone loves them, and they're making fun of the French, but they also do like lots of different stuff in small theater, maybe bigger theater, niche.
Okay.
So
No, I didn't know that. So I'm going to get all this information from you and we're going to make
yeah,
it happen. And the next time you talk to me, I'll be announcing a concert in Paris.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll give you all the details. But there's also a New York comedy club in Paris, hosted by
Oh,
Sebastian Marks, and he invites all of those people from the US and the UK to perform in a beautiful cabaret in the center of Paris that you would absolutely love.
see,
So
that's the
there's
sort of thing you think I would know when I was performing there, but we were so busy, no one even told me about. I couldn't see shows because I was in one, so no one told me
yeah.
this stuff. You're giving me such valuable information right now. Thank you. I
Yeah,
mean
you
it.
definitely should
We'll
consider it.
continue the, we'll talk after. We'll
Yes,
continue this
Yeah.
of
conversation.
course, they will give you all the details. So, Gabby, one last question, maybe, before I do my little.
Yeah, actually, what can we can expect from you for the future? Like new show
Yes.
coming or?
Yes. So, yes, I did have some master classes for students planned in Paris that had to be rescheduled, but they will now be rescheduled. So I will, if you go to my website, ChristinaBianco.com, as soon as it's booked, it will be listed on my schedule. So I'll be doing some master classes there. The rest of this year is mostly stuff in the United States, but 2022 I'll be spending a lot of time in the UK. And after that, I'm doing a big UK tour that will be announced. Maybe it's already announced. We'll find out. But depending on when this is posted. But I'll be starring in a big UK tour that will be touring for about 5 months. So as soon as that's over and I am free, I will do as many concerts as I can, and that's when I would love to come back to Paris for a performance. So I'm trying not to wait too long before everybody in Paris forgets about me completely. So I'll get there as soon as I can.
We won't.
Yeah, we are waiting for you, Christina.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you.
Are you ready for your last impossible choices? It's the last trivia, and then it's done. It's
Okay.
so rapid fire, 10 little thing. It's heads or tail. So I give you 2 choices, and you have to pick.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
French wine or French fries?
French wine.
Liza or Barbara?
Barbara.
Brooklyn Queen or Manhattan Princess?
Manhattan Princess.
Comedy club or drama school?
Oh, I got to say drama school because of my upbringing.
Interval or intermission?
Intermission. I'm a New Yorker.
Okay. Stephen Sondheim or Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Stephen Sondheim.
Bagel or baguette?
Baguette.
Yeah.
I was going to say bagel because a bagel and a plate full of onion rolls, but I know my audience here and I enjoy eating a baguette more. So I went for the food and not the story.
That's good. Pont des Arts or Brooklyn Bridge?
I got to say Brooklyn Bridge for me because it's New York.
You can. Macaroon or cupcake?
Macaroon.
And Je t'aime or I love you?
Oh, je t'aime. It sounds better.
Merci.
Merci, on t'aime, Christina. We love you. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
I'm looking at you in the side, looking at you here. Thank you so much. This has been
Thank
so
you.
lovely. And and this interview, the last round really reflects how I feel. It's like I'm very torn between all the two worlds, but wherever you go, there's always a piece of New York with me. So when I'm in Paris, a little bit of the New Yorkers there. And now that I'm back in New York, a lot of Paris and a lot of Europe is still a part of my heart. So thank you so much for celebrating
you.
all of that today.
Yeah.
It was
Thank
truly
you
an
so
honor.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so
Thanks
much,
for
guys, for
watching.
watching. And don't forget to follow Christina on her social media channel and also Musical Avenue on her YouTube channel too. So
And we hope to see you very, very, very
Yeah.
soon. We couldn't
Very
soon.
finish this with music, so we're gonna say goodbye with the best bow ever. Thank you,
Oh,
Christina.
boy.
thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Very
you.
soon.
Bye, guys.
Get ready for me.